Hi, it's Brina Fields Taylor, and welcome back to the Midweek Motivation. Before I get into today's word, I first want to say thank you to those who have been tuning in week after week to listen to the word. So I appreciate your time and your encouragement as I move forward week after week in sharing what God has shared with me. So thank you so much for tuning in. The phrase for today is "It is well." And many of you are probably familiar with the hymn entitled "It Is Well." It was written by Horatio Spafford. I can't tell you how many times I've sung that hymn in church, whether it was in a church service, a funeral service. So it's a very familiar hymn to me as well. And as I began to think about what I would share with you today, that one came to mind. And I want to share with you a little bit of background of that hymn. So the writer experienced tragedy in his life. He was a land investor in Chicago, and the Great Fire of 1871 destroyed all of his investments. And then about 2 years later, he would tragically lose his four daughters on a transatlantic voyage. One ship hit another ship, and his four daughters were lost. The only surviving member of his family was his wife. And so, having experienced those two horrific events, he wrote "It Is Well." And I encourage you to take some time to read the lyrics because the lyrics, I believe, will really bless you. But one of the things he says is, "Whatever my lot, thou hast taught me to say, it is well with my soul." So I want to explore what "it is well" means. But first, let's look at what it doesn't mean. "It is well" does not mean we like what happened. So Mr. Spafford did not like the fact that he lost his four daughters. And when tragedy strikes us, when difficulty comes to us, we don't like it either. So "it is well" does not mean I like what just happened. It also does not mean that we won't cry, we won't grieve. It's important that as we experience difficulties and tragedies, that we allow ourselves to grieve through that process. So saying "it is well" is not saying I won't cry or I won't be sad about what has happened to me. So what does it mean? I believe first that saying "it is well" means that we trust God. We know that tragedy strikes everyone. It rains on the just and the unjust. But despite that fact, we can believe and trust in God. One scripture I want to highlight comes from Hebrews chapter 10, verse 23, and it says, "Let us hold tightly without wavering to the hope we affirm, for God can be trusted to keep his promise." So we can trust that God will keep us, sustain us, maintain us, provide our needs, be with us, even in the face of tragedy. So when we say "it is well," we can say we trust God. We also say that we are opening ourselves up to what God has in store for us. God may have closed a particular door and we're disappointed by that. God may have allowed a tragedy to occur in our lives, but when we say "it is well," we say and we believe that God has something greater and that we trust him to give us greater. And so that we're open to receive whatever it is God would have us to do. We are still within the will of God despite being or having experienced something tragic. So we're saying, "God, I'm open, I'm here, I'm available to still be in your will despite what has happened. And I can still say it is well." So again, I encourage you, look up the lyrics of this song and just read them. Read them from the perspective of the writer and why he wrote them, and help them so that that will help you understand the lyrics better and then truly know that it is well, despite what is happening even right now. It is well with our souls. So that's the word for today.